First of all, I just wanted to say thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Anna Marissa Militano, Head of Training and Development for Alliance Abroad Group. I get the privilege and honor of designing and hosting webinars, both for our business partners abroad as well as our host companies located here domestically. Today's webinar, we're going to be talking about the training and internship program. Our intention is to give you some deeper understanding of the program regulations as it's defined by the Department of State. Ultimately, the goal on this program is to present opportunities for culture exchange. And these pictures that you see here have been submitted by our international participants. Some of the things that they've had a chance to do during their off time is visit iconic landmarks such as the Statue of Liberty. They've been able to participate in the local community, whether that's a hot air balloon festival or participate in a baseball game or see a local beach. And this intern and trainee program is really life-changing for our international participants. They get a better understanding of what is American culture as well as what is the local community and state have to offer. And it really is an opportunity for them to advance their careers and profession while they're here in the United States. And so ultimately, the J-1 visa program is a cultural exchange program. So we just want to say thank you for helping us partner in creating these opportunities. Today's agenda, we're going to take a look a little bit about Alliance Abroad Group. Some of you that are on the call today have been with Alliance Abroad Group for 20 years. And others are new partners for us. And so we just wanted to take a moment to introduce Alliance Abroad Group. We also felt, again, because this is a regulatory training, to talk about sponsors' requirements. We want to be very transparent of everybody's role in facilitating this program. We're also going to look at in detail at the intern and trainee program regulations. We're going to talk about eligibility requirements in order to enroll an applicant or create a participant on the program. What are some of their required documentations that they need to be able to present to us? We're going to provide you a general introduction to the DS 7002 form. This is commonly known as the training plan. We also want to take a moment to highlight the host company's program obligations as well as the participants, and we're going to end today's presentation with questions and answers. So I would ask everyone to hold your questions until that point. Alliance Abroad Group, we're actually a woman-owned business, and we've been in operation for over 20 years. Victoria Linden is our CEO and owner. You see her picture right here on the upper left-hand corner. Victoria started this company many moons ago, and really because she personally experienced culture exchange. I believe her story is that she was in Italy and having an experience and realizing, wow, this is really life-changing, and she wanted to provide opportunities for others at the time to go abroad. And as the business evolved and changed, the focus, our primary focus now is the inbound of helping international students on J-1 visa programs come into the United States. The J-1 visa program does require reciprocity, so there will always be an arm of Alliance Abroad Group that is focused on our outbound activities. And right now we're creating some strong relationships with Australia and providing individuals with an opportunity to do work programs there. We are considered what we refer to as a Department of State designated sponsor. So the U.S. Department of State has honored us with this designation. We are a designated sponsor for 4 visa programs, starting with, again, the intern and trainee, which is what we're here to discuss today. But we are also a designated sponsor for the summer work and travel and for the TEACH program. We like to say we're a promoter of culture exchange. We live and breathe culture. This team that you see on this slide is our executive team, which has over approximately 50 years of experience within the industry as well as travel and tourism, and we ourselves have a diverse background. James Bell is our president, and he is originally from Scotland. Vanessa Noel, Becky Bills, Lori Moxley, and Anne Roseland. And we have an international team because Vanessa is from France and Anne is from Canada. But again, some industry experts, lots of experience in facilitating this program, but this is what we refer to as our executive team. We like to say we help people write their own stories. And what that means to us is that this really is a life-changing opportunity for our international participants. If you've ever traveled abroad or traveled to the States for a long duration or time, you may have used a travel journal, an old-fashioned paper journal where you're trying to write and remember your experiences in your new city that you're in or during your travels. Ultimately, that's what we're here to do, is to help our international participants while they're in the United States on these intern and trainee programs write their story. This experience is going to be part of the history. Again, this is about reciprocity, and so we hope the intention is that they come learn new skills, learn about America, and then go back home to their home country and share those things. We definitely anticipate that they're going to share them with their schoolmates and their family and friends. But we hope that this story is so legendary in their lives that this is a story that they will tell their children one day and grandchildren about when they were in America on a trainee program or internship. Our headquarters are based in Austin, Texas. This business is very virtual, so hopefully we'll have a chance to host you in Austin, Texas. But if you don't, we wanted to make sure that you knew where we're located in this world of ours in the United States. Some of our key partnerships in regard to facilitating the program starts with the Department of State. And again, the Department of State is the governing body to this program. And, the Department of State has been established for many years. Over 50 years have they been facilitating this program, the J-1 visa programs. Their mission statement is to create a more secure, democratic, and prosperous world for the benefit of the American people, but also to the international community. That is their purpose as an organization, and they really have spent a lot of time designing and determining what are the rules or regulations that we should enforce to better support the program purpose of these intern and trainees. And we work with the Department of State very closely and are able to sit on conference calls that they host. And recently, back in April, they shared with us some of their 2013 initiatives. And some of those initiatives were hiring more staff to better support the program, increasing site visits. And what a site visit for us is when a Department of State officer will visit one of the site of activities where a student is placed or a young professional is placed for their placement. The primary concern when they're doing a site visit is to determine the safety, health, and well-being of the participant and ensure that the program purpose is being met. And so those are why they're hosting some of the site visits. And they also shared with us that they're looking at ways to create stronger ties with alumni engagement. So those participants that have ended their program and gone back to their home country, they're very curious, where are they now? As you know, these are the next leading leaders of your country, the individuals that are on this program. And so the Department of State wants to determine ways to get connected with them to see where they're at now, whether that's through the embassies in your home country or through social media. They also, when we're on these calls, share very important statistics with us in regards to the programs as a whole. I just want to share some interesting facts with you. Last year in 2012, there was actually a total of right under 29,000 participants on the intern and training program. Specifically, there's less interns, so there was about 9,000 interns in the United States on this program and about 20,000 trainees. So that's a large quantity of students or young professionals that are part of this program. They also shared some statistics with us in regards to demographics and age. An interesting fact is about 83% number of the participants are actually under the age of 30. As you know, as you're interviewing future candidates and enrolling them, they tend to be under the age of 30. 40% were actually under the age of 21 in regards to all programs. and this is one of my favorite statistics, is that actually 52% of the participants on all J-1 visa programs are females. So it's unique to see that the women or females are leading the pack in regards to being a part of this program, just slightly, by 52%. Another important partnership for us is our partner agencies, and obviously that's you here on the line today. We go in contract with you really to help us market the program, help us to enroll and screen the candidates accordingly, and make an appropriate match to either the intern or trainee program. You are what I refer to as our language connection. As you know, everyone on this program has to be able to communicate in English effectively, but there is at times when there's an emergency where we might need to speak to the parents, and we rely heavily on our business partners to be able to relay the message on our behalf. And so, again, our partner agencies, we cannot facilitate this program without you, and rely heavily on the professionalism and your support in upholding these regulations and rules surrounding the intern and trainee program. Also, too, a key partnership for us is the universities, and those are the international university relationships that we have. At times, Alliance Abroad Group are able to do presentations directly to the student body to educate them about the possibility of being part of a J-1 visa program. And so we rely heavily on those relationships. Also, too, we have host companies, and they are a future employer or trainer of your participant or applicant, and they are really quite unique. And we work heavily within the hospitality industry. Alliance Abroad Group has more than 300 types of employers that are in our portfolio of business that are helping us host these international participants. And again, they play a unique role to facilitating this program. We could not operate the program without our employers or host companies. And last but not least, we have a key partnership with us, which is our participant. And again, our participants are enrolling in this program to really have a life-changing opportunity to broaden their horizon, to enhance their resumes and skill sets in a particular category or educational field. I'd like to say our participants are the ones that are keeping us young and hip. I keep getting older, but our participants keep staying the same approximate age. And again, we really appreciate our participants, especially as they share their culture exchange stories and share with us about the things that they're learning here in America. As you know, in our business model, they are the paying customer, and so it's really important that we set the right expectation about this program. As they're providing a payment and fee to be a part of this program, we really want to make sure that their expectations are set accordingly so that we can exceed their expectations while they're on this program. One of the key responsibilities as a designated sponsor is the safety, health, and well-being of our international participants. The Department of State actually has used those words directly with us, reminding us as a sponsor that is our primary concern. I just wanted to take a moment and read the definition of safety because it's so unique and encompassing. And so bear with me as I read the definition. Safety is the state of being safe, the condition of being protected against physical, social, spiritual, financial, political, emotional, occupational, psychological, educational, or other types of consequences of failure, damage, error, accidents, harm, or any other event that can be considered non-desirable. So I don't know about you, but when I first heard that or read that out loud, I was so surprised. It was such a strong reminder of the obligation that a designated sponsor has in regards to the safety of our international participants once they're in the United States. And so this slide was designed to help us promote that this is a key obligation to the program. And the requirements or obligation is really on the designated sponsor, but we cannot do this alone. And so when we host this webinar with our host companies, I'm asking them, as well as you, what would you do if you hear of a story from one of your participants that are placed in the United States Maybe they were showing to their training shifts late to work or to their work site, that is. And when the immediate supervisor asks the question, you know, Joan, why are you not showing up to work on time? You know, we need you to be here so that we can start training you and continuing to develop your skill set. And if the young lady, Joan, states, well, actually, I haven't been sleeping very well at night because I live in a one-bedroom apartment with 10 other girls, and you know, it's really hot. We live in Houston, Texas, and we've asked our landlord to help us with the AC unit, but they haven't fixed it, and some of the girls are staying up really late and making a lot of noise, and I just can't get to sleep. I can't get enough sleep. So again, as you hear that story, especially as a business partner or a host company, you know, normally as a host company, it's not their obligation to be a part of a solution or worry about their home environment, but it is Alliance Abroad Group's responsibility. So what we're asking of everyone who touches the program, we need you to empathize. What would you do if that was your daughter telling you that story, or maybe it was your niece telling you that story, or grandchild telling you the story? We hope that when you empathize, that you recognize that's not normal for 10 people living in a one-bedroom apartment. We hope that you recognize that's not appropriate for the landlord not to take care of the air conditioning, that you recognize it's not appropriate that other roommates are staying up to all hours of night and not being able to allow folks to sleep so they can go to their training schedule. So again, we hope that when we talk about safety, health, and well-being, that everyone that touches the program is really empathizing. And what would you do if that was your daughter? And the goal is zero tolerance. If you hear a story or you become aware that a student or a young professional or participant on this program's health, safety, or well-being is in jeopardy, we need you to immediately call Alliance Abroad Group's 1-800 number emergency line so we can address the situation and help them immediately. And so again, we just wanted to take a moment to highlight some of the designated sponsors' responsibility. Other things that a designated sponsor, such as the Alliance Abroad Group, is responsible for is monitoring the participants while they're on the program. It is our obligation as a sponsor here at AAG to know the whereabouts of our participants. We also are obligated to provide 24-hour support, and so we do have a 1-800 number that is designated for our international participants while they're in the United States, as well as our host companies, that they can call us any time of the day, and if it's an emergency, would get patched through to an Alliance Abroad Group employee where we can directly support them while on this program. We're also responsible for processing the DS form, the DS 2019 form that is, and assist with the visa process. And so as your international participants prepare for their American Embassy appointments, we are there to help coach you or them directly on how best to prepare themselves for this interview. We also are obligated to provide access to the participant in regards to travel insurance or health insurance. One thing to know is that it's considered catastrophic health insurance, and so it's not considered an everyday insurance, but they do have access to that in their program fee. We're also obligated to vet the housing, transportation, and host companies accordingly. So the government provides us key regulations of things that we're supposed to be looking for as we engage in business with our host companies. And last but not least, we're required or need to ensure and educate and uphold the Department of State regulations in regards to everyone that we work with in regards to the program. Those are some of the sponsors' obligations. I wanted to take a moment and just really highlight what is the program purpose. And again, this is to the intern and trainee program. So what you're seeing on this screen is the purpose as defined by the Department of State. The primary objective of the program offered under these regulations are to enhance the skills and expertise of the exchange visitor in their academic or occupational fields through participation in a structured and guided work-based training and internship programs, and to improve the participants' knowledge of the American techniques, methodologies, and expertise. Now, as I read that, hopefully the keywords that you're looking at or picking up on is about enhancing the skills and expertise. Only once is the word work used in this purpose, and it's not standing alone. It's talking about guided work-based training. Again, this program is not considered a work program. It is not operated by the Department of Labor, which is the governing body for things and all things work-related. Again, the purpose of this program is culture exchange and enhancing the skill set of these international graduates as well as young professionals. Another key regulation that I wanted to take a moment to highlight is in regards to the cultural exchange component. And so what you're looking at on this screen is the direct language that the Department of State has provided us in regulations regarding culture exchange. So the sponsor will be responsible to promote and offer a variety of cross-cultural programs for their exchange visitors in order to give the broadest exposure to American society, culture, and institutions. Not only are we supposed to offer and promote opportunities, but we also need to encourage exchange visitors to voluntarily participate, not mandatorily, but voluntarily participate in activities which are for the purpose of sharing language, culture, and history of their home countries with Americans. One of the things that I do when I have our host companies on the line is provide them opportunities of how can they get their international interns or trainees involved in sharing their stories. And I just wanted to highlight one of our employers actually invites the international participant to address the executive team of the hotel. And the purpose is for them, international participant, to present information on their home country so that they can have the workplace or the training place, the executive team can have a better understanding of where this individual's background is coming from. So that's one way to be able to share voluntarily from the participant to the American executive team or employees. Another thing that I really encourage our host companies to do is most departments will either have a department meeting or pre-shift meeting for those that meet often. And it's a great way for them to highlight maybe a participant and share a word of the day and build upon that vocabulary. So maybe they're highlighting the Spanish language and wanting to say good morning. So on day one, they're addressing, in Spanish, this is how you say good morning, is buenos dias. Well, maybe there's another participant that's from Brazil and they're introducing Portuguese to the American audience, and they say, well, this is how you say good morning. In Portuguese is bom dia. And again, our host companies can build upon that language of sharing and cultural exchange by just making an opportunity for our international participants to share. So something to think about when it comes to culture exchange. This next slide is talking about Alliance Abroad Group's designation in regards to the enrolling of particular categories. So what you see on this slide are the areas that Alliance Abroad Group can identify placements for. In what categories: arts and culture, hospitality and tourism, everything from sciences, engineering, architecture, mathematics, to industrial occupations, as well as things surrounding education, social services, library sciences, counseling and social services, public administration or law, information media, communications, management, business administration, or commerce and finance. These are the areas that Alliance Abroad Group can identify placements for. I do want to be very clear, one of the things that's unique about Alliance Abroad Group is our hospitality and tourism. That is probably a very popular category within this J1 visa program, whether it's the intern and trainee. So we have a lot of host companies that fall under those categories. Also, too, I just wanted to take a time to mention that there are other categories that AAG is not a designated sponsor for, but we wanted to bring awareness to you that there is a placement fields in the areas of agriculture, forestry and fishing, construction, buildings, trade, and health-related occupations, but at this point in time, AAG is not a designated sponsor for those categories. In regards to the definition and program descriptions, The intern and trainee program are very similar, but definitely uniquely different. And these are considered two different J-1 visa programs. And so I wanted to take a moment to highlight what this looks like side by side. And so if a student is on the internship program or the trainee program, what's similar about the program is they're both considered structured and guided. They're both considered work-based learning programs. They're both considered individual. They both have to have an individual plan. But what creates a slight difference is the last bullets on this screen. The internship program is going to reinforce an academic study because, again, for enrollment purposes, they're either currently enrolled in university or a recent graduate. But it's also going to show them on-the-job exposure of a particular skill set. The training plan is different because it actually is what I refer to as a more mature program. The student has already graduated and they have, what would I say, either graduated or have professional experience. And it really is about enhancing or understanding the American culture, society, and occupational field. Some of the eligibility requirements, in order to be an intern, they have to be currently enrolled in a post-secondary degree or certificate program, as you see right here. But maybe, again, they have recently graduated from a post-secondary degree or certificate program, and no more than 12 months have passed prior to their start date, then they're also eligible to be an intern. And a reminder, in regards to interns, they can only have up to a 12-month maximum duration. And so we work closely with our host companies to design what is the best program that they have to offer, knowing and understanding that most international participants want the longest duration as possible. But we are able to design an intern program that's 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, all the way up to 12 months. Now, a trainee profile is slightly different because they actually are a graduate and they have a degree or professional certificate from a foreign post-secondary academic institution and at least 1 year of work experience. So again, this is why I refer to this as a more mature program, because they're actually already coming with a degree as well as some work experience. And if they do not have a degree that isn't in a particular category, but they do have the 5 years work experience in occupational field that AAG recruits for, then they also too could be eligible to be a trainee. And just wanted to highlight to you that the trainee is also more mature because it's a longer duration. In majority of the categories, it could be designed all the way up to 18 months or a year and a half, with the exception for hospitality. Hospitality only has a duration of 12 months or 1 year. Some of the exchange visitor requirements, in order for an applicant to be successfully placed, these are some of the requirements that they have an obligation to meet. And one is the English levels. They have to be able to successfully communicate in English and adhere to the training plan and converse effectively with their supervisor and customers while on this program. In fact, their safety, health, and well-being could be in jeopardy if they do not comprehend or understand English well. And we rely on our business partners, You Abroad, to help us screen for those English levels. You're our pre-screener, and then AAG also screens the candidates directly. But it's really important that they're able to communicate effectively and comprehend the English language in order to be successful in this program. They also have to show financial support, and what that means for us is that this is not a work program. They will be paid maybe a stipend that they would be paid by the employer, but it is not a regular wage. And so the international participant has to show that they have the ability to take care of themselves while in the United States or have access to funds to secure themselves while they're here, both housing and regular living expenses. The other exchange visitor requirement or applicant's requirement is to show proof of eligibility. So again, we just looked at that past screen of the things that would create them to be eligible. So they then have to provide us supporting documentation, such as being able to access the degree itself, a certificate, the photo, getting a letter from the university stating that they are currently enrolled. Also, seeing transcripts or their class schedule is a requirement that we were asking to help show proof of eligibility. Also, too, if there is the 5 years of work experience, AAG has a resume template that helps us gather the information of where were those 5 years of work experience in order to be on this program, where were they employed in their home country or in other countries. So again, there's a lot of exchange visitor requirements, and a lot of this information is captured during the application process and submitted to AAG's partner portal. I wanted to take a moment to take a look at the revised DS-7002 form, also known as the training plan. So if you give me just a moment, allow me to pull up the slide where you're able to see our training plan. If you can give me just a moment. Okay, there we go. This is our template for the training plan. It actually has 4 sections. The first section is in regards to participant information, so everything in regards to the applicant or participant. The second section is in regards to site of activity. Third is in regards to contract agreements, and section 4 is in reference to the placement plan or the phases. And what's unique about this form, and in case you're ever wondering, am I in the right form? The expiration date on the new version is 12/31/2014 in the upper right-hand corner. That's how you can tell if you're in the right version. Also, too, what's unique is now you can type into the actual training plan, so that makes life a little bit easier. The participant information, obviously they're asking specifically in regards to the applicant or the future participant. In section 2, they're asking information in regards to a site of activity. A site of activity is also what you could refer to as the host company. Everything from who is going to be the supervisor to email addresses to contact information. Some unique things that are now on the training plan is asking for the employer ID number, the hours per week that the participant will do training, and as everyone should know, 32 hours is the minimum that someone should be able to be part of this training program. It'll ask the question if there will be a stipend by the employer, if so, how much. They're also asking the employer questions such as, is there workers' compensation? So in the United States, the majority of the states will have to offer workers' compensation. So the question is yes or no. We do have some states and some that are exempt from having to provide workers' compensation to their employees or trainees, and so that's also something that might need to be presented. And so the question here is, will the workers' comp policy protect or cover the intern or trainee? So the employer has to be very transparent with this information and provide us, the sponsor, with details whether they are obligated to provide that, and if they're not, showing us proof that their state is not required to do so. A new question that they're asking is full-time employees, so that the government wants to determine how many full-time employees there are, as well as the annual revenue for that particular employer. There's a very specific rule in regards to vetting of an employer, future employer, on that the obligation is on the designated sponsor. If one of our employers state that they have less than 25 employees and make less than $3 million in gross annual revenue, then Alliance Abroad Group has an obligation to do a physical site visit. So again, a big concern on the safety, health, and well-being of the participant, ensuring that this program is being upheld to the program regulations. And so the Department of State has asked us as a designated sponsor to visit them and ensure that there is they are an appropriate employer to host a trainee or intern. The next section is the contract agreement section, and there's a space where the intern or future trainee will have to print their name, sign, and date. as well as the supervisor of that future trainee or intern, and the supervisor is employed by the host company or the employer. And last but not least, there's the sponsor. And all of these sections, there is a I certify the following statement. So as you have your international participant sign this, it is very, very important they understand what they're signing and what the small print means. And so, for example, for me, one of the key, they're all very important, but one of the key things that's new to this is that the Department of State is really highlighting again that this is not a work program. And so one of the things I'd like to highlight is number 3 in the intern and trainee statement. And it says that I will, again, I, the participant, will contact the U.S. Department of State or Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs at the earliest possible opportunity if I believe that my sponsor or supervisor is not providing me with legitimate intern or training as delineated on my training plan. And also, statement 2 is very important, that I, again, the trainee or intern, am entering into this exchange visitor program in order to participate as a trainee or intern as delineated in the training plan and not simply to engage in labor or work in the United States. So very key statements that we want each intern and trainee to understand. So as our business partner, if you have to translate this to them by sitting with them side by side and explaining to them what this means, it's really important that you do so. We rely on you to help make sure that they understand what they're signing. Number 4 is an important one too, because basically it's stating, I understand that any attempt to falsify, conceal, or cover up by any trick, scheme, or device a material fact by making any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements or representation, or making or using any false writing or document knowing the same to contain any material that's false, fictitious, or fraudulent, may the consequences be punishable by fine or imprisonment up to 5 years. Now, again, the government wants to be very clear what is the expectation about being part of this program. And so, again, this section is very important for all that are signing. The same thing with the supervisor, I certify the following. One of the things that's really important in this section is number 3, about that the trainee and intern will not displace full-time or part-time seasonal or permanent American workers or serve to fill a labor need. Again, this is not a labor program. This is a training and development program for international participants. Another important statement in this, all of them are important, but I just wanted to highlight something that might be new, is again statement number 8, which, you know, I'm participating in this exchange and visitors program in order to provide the individual with training or internship as defined or delineated in the training plan, and not simply to engage this individual with labor. And then the supervisor would have to sign and date. And as a sponsor, again, we have 1 through 12 obligations of statements. And our responsible officer or alternative responsible officer fills this out on behalf of Alliance Abroad Group. The very important statements that we want everyone to understand what they're signing. Section 4 is in regards to the placement and training plan. And so there could be many different phases within the Section 4. And so this form may be repeated based on every phase, but the questions would need to be answered. So identifying the name of the intern and training, the field or training specific category. So maybe it could be a hospitality supervisor rotation in the rooms division. The name of the phase, so either phase 1, phase 2, it could be phase of orientation, phase 2 could be of developing these particular skill sets. So again, naming each phase, the start date for the phase and the end date for the phase, and determining is this phase 1 of 5 or 1 of 3. For hospitality placements, there has to be a minimum of 3 phases identified for a full year duration. There has to be a brief description of the intern trainee's role for this phase, as well as identified specific goals and objectives what needs to be achieved and what is going to be achieved. We're also, the Department of State is asking us to highlight what are the knowledge, skills, and techniques that are going to be used during this phase. Specifically, the questions are what specific knowledge will be learned. Again, there has to be a clear path to further developing this individual based on this training plan or internship plan. Now, I think this is really important to show everyone that's involved in the program, which is question number 2. This is a new question to the training plan, and it's asking what plans are in place for the trainee and intern to participate in America culture. Again, there's a major emphasis for everyone who's operating under the J-1 visa program to understand that this is a culture exchange program, and so importantly that we're actually even adding it to the training plan. So what Alliance of Bar Group does is we work very closely with the employer, whether that's the HR professional or the general manager of the facility, to help build this training plan to make sure it's robust enough to meet the expectations not only of the international participants, but also the Department of State. So then they're asking specific, how will these knowledges or skills be taught? So identifying sort of a methodology of training or syllabus for the phase. Methods of supervision, highlighting who will be the supervisor and how will they be supervising them on a regular basis. And then again, the very last is about methods of performance for the evaluation. How will their performance be measured? And then it continues. This next section is in regards to the second phase. So again, the training plan is a very important document to this process of having a placement on the intern or trainee program, but we just wanted to take a moment to highlight it. And again, we build it with our HR professional or operational manager, eventually the person who will be supervising this trainee or intern. One thing that's really important is for everyone to know that we have to, once it's built and approved, we have to adhere to this. And so if something is being changed, we need to make sure that we take time to address that with the designated sponsor as well as the participant and provide justification on what that change is. If you can give me just a moment as I get back to my other screen, if you give me a moment. The next part of today's presentation, we wanted to take a look at some of the key regulations. So you've already heard me mention this, but there is a minimum hours requirement to the training plan. The employer, in order to build a training plan for an intern or trainee, has to identify this as a full-time placement, which means specifically that there cannot be no less than 32 hours of training and development for this international participant. Also, too, another key regulation to the intern and trainee program is supervision. There has to be a continuous on-site supervision and mentoring to this individual. There has to be evaluations completed on behalf of the intern and trainee program. The Department of State actually has empowered the sponsor to determine what does that evaluation look like, and so Alliance of Bar Group has chosen to use an electronic version of an evaluation. We send the evaluation directly to the supervisor as well as to the participant, and basically the goal of the evaluation is to ensure the quality of the training program is being met and to document cultural activities as well as to document how is the individual learning and growing in a particular skill set or category. One thing to mention is that if the program is designed only for 6 months, we have to facilitate an evaluation process at the end of 6 months. But if the duration of the program is 12 months or full year, then there actually would be 2 evaluation periods, one at a halfway point, which would be at the 6-month period, as well as the end of the year calendar, and so, or at the end of the 12 months, excuse me, not necessarily a calendar year. And again, we have both the supervisor to complete it as well as the international placement or participant to complete the evaluation. Also, too, we wanted to highlight some key regulations in regards to transfers and extensions. Both transfers and extensions are allowed on this visa program, let me just take a step to explain what a transfer is. If for some reason our international participants' safety, health, or well-being is being jeopardized with a particular employer, and say they're only in month 3 of their training plan, we would consider a transfer and work very closely with the participant to identify the next future employer or trainer. And there obviously would have to be a change to the training plan, to the site of activity, to the supervisor. So transfers definitely take some paperwork in order to make the adjustment, but we do have the ability to do so. Now, I want to be very clear. If an international participant has a placement in New York and the training plan itself is going well, their employer is going well, but they have a friend that lives in Florida and they want to move south, that is not a justifiable reason to authorize a transfer. So again, we wanted to take a moment to let you know there is the possibility under case-by-case study, and really the reason why we're approving it under the for our international participants, the reason why we're allowing transfers, again, is if there's truly concern with the safety, health, and well-being of the participant, especially in the placement that they are currently part of. So that's one thing to know. Extensions are, again, regulatory, are eligible. If you are on a J1, whether that's the InternTrainee program, there can be an extension as long as, the key thing here is, as long as there's available duration on the program. So what does that mean? If there is say an intern and they're on a 6-month program and they want to extend it for another 6 months so they can utilize the full 12-month program, there is a possibility to do so. There are associated fees with extensions because of the having to reissue and redesign the training program and the training plan. And so we just wanted to be clear, both of these are possible, but we take them very seriously. And we actually work with our employers and highlight that most participants, again, whether it's intern or trainee, really want to get the maximum exposure to American society as well as, enhance their training skills. So they are going to be, we're looking at building the most robust program. But in case, just know if there is a short duration, like 6 months, and the employer and the participant are interested in extending, we have the ability to do so, but we also have to prove to the government how and what new skill sets are they going to be learning in the new phase or 6 months program. Just some things to highlight. Other things we wanted to take a moment to talk about are AAG standards or procedures. And so one of the things that we require our business partners abroad is for you to notify Alliance Abroad Group if there's a cancellation or visa denial. And what is considered a cancellation? It's basically if a participant chooses not to be a part of the program any further because of maybe family obligations, or they've just changed their mind. And obviously a visa denial could happen for any reasons. It happens at the American Embassy. But again, we require our business partners to inform us, pretty much immediately, as quickly as possible, in case one of your applicants that you presented has a cancellation or visa denial. There's also procedurally some fees associated if there's a cancellation or visa denial. And so once you notify us, we wanted it to be very clear that for full placement programs, cancellations prior to the participant being placed with a company, but after being accepted by AAG for placement will result in a $200 cancellation fee. And again, as you know, in the application process, there's a lot of screening, there's a lot of effort that goes into that. And so if someone cancels at their own free will, there would be a $200 cancellation fee. And I want to be very clear, if it also, if they cancel and they had already been placed with a company, there will be an additional fee of $100 because they canceled after they were placed with a host company. Again, as you enroll these candidates and enroll them, place them to placements, it's really important that they understand this is going into a contract agreement And so there is some fees associated with cancellations if they've already been approved by Alliance Abroad Group, as well as if they've already been placed and accepted by the employer. Another key AAG standard and procedure is obviously in regards to their housing. So if you're doing any self-arranged placements, it is important that housing information is provided on the application so that we have the ability to determine whether the recommended housing sites are safe and affordable to the participant. And so there must always have a housing lead in this section of the application process. Another key thing that AAG has implemented for our intern and trainee placements is a monthly check-in. And this is a unique procedure that AAG has in place that we reach out to our participants on a monthly basis to determine are they okay and how is their training plan going. And so I'll provide you a little bit more information in the next screen in regards to the participant obligations. And then we just wanted to take a moment procedurally to talk about the difference between a program cancellation versus a program termination. Anytime someone is using the words termination, it really is more in regards to their immigration status in SEVIS. There's different codes in SEVIS as inactive, active, no-show, and then termination, which is a pretty serious consequence if a participant has not adhered to the program rules or adhered to the employer's rules or has had gross misconduct. Would we only consider terminating their immigration status? And as you know, termination could impact their personal lives if they ever applied to come into the United States on a different type of visa. It could also even jeopardize their family members' ability to come into the United States on a visa. So terminations are very serious consequences that we do an investigation on to determine is that the best path to take for this particular case and this particular participant. Now, cancellation, again, is what we were just referring to, is if this international participant hasn't been placed on the program or hasn't come into the United States, but there is a cancellation. If a DS 2019 form has been issued, then obviously that's a cancellation where the program ended, and those are things that we need to know about. So we just wanted to take a moment to highlight what the difference between cancellation and termination. A termination is really a process that's handled by Alliance Abroad Group as a designated sponsor, and it's case-by-case specific. Some of the partner program obligations that we wanted to highlight is obviously you're our pre-screener, you're our enroller of eligible candidates, so spending time determining if they're eligible and screening their documents and entering that information into the partner portal. And we do have a partner portal training that you're able to access if you would like to know more about the right way or the expectations that AAG has in enrolling a candidate into the application system. Obviously, there needs to be a submitting or complete candidate applications, so providing that information, as well as educating the candidates on program expectations. Again, you are the first impression to the program from your marketing efforts and really explaining this culture exchange experience. This is not a money-making opportunity. This is really about advancing the skill set and advancing themselves once they're back in their home community. This is great in building a resume. Wonderful experience. So again, it's about we rely on you to help educate our participants about the program expectations. We need, as a business partner, for you to promptly and timely communicate with Alliance Abroad Group, whether that's the positive things or the more constructive feedback or cancellations, such as visa denials, or if you hear directly that the safety or health or well-being of a participant is in jeopardy. Those are all things that we need to have you communicate with us effectively in a timely manner, as well as, per the regulations, disclose all fees provided, disclose all fees directly to the participants, also to help us provide arrival notices and conduct pre-orientations in home country. So again, we rely on you to pre-orientate our participants as they prepare to come into the United States. These are things that we require our partners to help communicate with us directly about. The two types of placement options that we provide in regards to the intern and trainee placements is considered full placement or self-arranged. And if you're a business partner and you're saying, how do I get involved with self-arranged? Actually, that is between our program GM, Vanessa Noel. It's based in your contract. If AAG has allocated self-arranged placements, then you are able to recruit for them. Not all partners have that ability, and we use self-arranged placements sparingly, but we just wanted to take a moment to highlight what's the difference. And so full placement is when AAG provides the internship placement on behalf of the participant, and the self-arranged is maybe that the placement was secured either through the participant or maybe even through you, the agency's assistant. So there's a slight difference, but those are the two types of placement options. In regards to the host company requirements, here's a list of the things that they're obligated to do while hosting an international participant. First and foremost, adhere to federal, state, and municipal employment laws, such as minimum wage or workers' compensation. They also have to adhere to local occupational health and safety laws. Another thing that they have to do is to provide Alliance Abroad Group with vetting documents such as business ID, number, workers' compensation details. They also have to adhere to the items agreed to in the training offer letter. Again, the stipend that would be paid, adhering to the 32-hour minimum training plan, as well as to all the phases that are included within the training plan. They have to promptly report any program or participant concerns to us, the designated sponsor, especially if there's any changes or deviation to the training plan. And then, of course, partner with Alliance Abroad Group to help create culture exchange opportunities for the international participants. Some of the obligations for the participants is the SEVIS registration. So once they're in the United States, they have 7 days to register within SEVIS. I'm not sure if you've ever heard what SEVIS stands for, but it stands for the Student Exchange Visitor Information System. It's basically a database that tracks all J1 and F1 participants while they're in the United States. If they ever move for any reason or their site of activity changes, there has to be regular updates to the system. The participant access the SEVIS directly through the participant portal. Any changes that they make in the participant portal in regards to their address will be uploaded directly to SEVIS. They also have to participate in culture exchange, and so they cannot be always saying no if the employer invites them to be a part of culture exchange. This is part of the program, again, setting the right expectations. They have to adhere to the employer's rules, so that most employers will have a handbook and guidelines on how to behave yourself in the employer's work site or training site. And so it's important that they adhere to those policies and procedures of the host company or employer. They have to adhere to the general program regulations on the J1, whether it's the intern-trainee program, the intern program, or the trainee program. Adhere to federal, state, and local laws. Again, we spend a lot of time educating our participants about, for example, that 21 is the drinking age in America, and so anyone drinking under the age of 21 could have some negative ramifications. And again, so we spend a lot of time asking for our employers' help to help educate our participants on what the local laws or state laws are, and then AAG spends a lot of time talking about the federal laws, such an example as needing to drive with a driver's license or wearing your seatbelt. These are all things that we help prepare our international participants on. They have to have the financial proof. So again, during the application process, they have to prove that they have the ability to sustain themselves while they're in the United States while receiving a stipend. They have to be open to learning, and very important, they're not able to work a different, say, actually work. Maybe they want to work at McDonald's. They cannot work while being on an intern or training program, and they cannot do a second training placement. So again, very clear that this is not giving them work authorization. This is giving them intern and trainee development opportunity or authorization. And only one placement is allowed, not multiple placements. I just wanted to take a moment to highlight what the screen looks like for the participant portal. So what you're looking at is if an international participant went into the AAG portal, this is where they would actually be able to update their home address. One key thing that we find our participants may not include is identifying, what type of property is it? Is it a house? Is it an apartment? Is it a hotel, motel? If so, they should enter that right here. then the address, city and state. It's very important that they include the room number if they're staying in a motel, especially if there's multiple participants living in one location or site. As you see or know, in our portal, these red asterisks are required fields. So sometimes a student or international participant may not include the apartment number, but it's very important in validating the CVIS registration that all information is included. So again, they have 7 days, we ask, once the program starts, that they register within CVIS. And then per se, if they do not register in CVIS and 30 days have passed, they could go into a no-show status. Their immigration could, within CVIS, reflect that a no-show, meaning that they've arrived in the United States, but they haven't reported to the government that they've arrived. So we don't want that to happen. So we spend a lot of time educating our participants on their obligations in CVIS registration. At this point, I also want to just, again, go back to that monthly check-in aspect. So in the summer work and travel program, there is a regulation that requires the designated sponsor to reach out to the international participants on a monthly basis. And so, again, they haven't told us how we do that, but we have designed it where we reach out to the participant electronically. And basically, we ask the question, are you okay? Now, we hope they respond to us and say, I love my training plan. My supervisor's awesome. I'm learning so much. You know, I've been even able to go to the Austin Rodeo. And hopefully, you know, those are the responses that we're getting from our international participants when we ask them the question, are they okay, during the monthly check-in. There's a second group of people that may respond to that question, are you okay? And they say, no, my employer is not allowing me to train. I'm only, you know, there about 20 hours a week. You know, my supervisor and I aren't getting along. Now, if we get those types of responses from the question, are you okay, our support team will immediately investigate the situation and make sure that it improves for the participant. And again, working closely with the employers to make sure that the training plan is being met, that they understand the obligation to the 32-hour training training week. So that might be something that we're doing. And then we have a third group of people that when we send out the email campaign and ask them, are you okay, at the beginning of the month, that they don't respond. And obviously that's not okay because we don't know if they're safe or their health is in jeopardy. And so Alliance Abroad Group will do our due diligence to determine where are they and are they okay. So we may rely on you as our business partner to ask you again, is Joan you know, reporting to her training site, because we have not heard for her. We may reach out to the employer and ask the same question. And again, we're not asking you to enforce the rules, but we're asking you to relay the message. You need to reach out to your designated sponsor. And again, it's a tool that we put in place for the intern training program so that we can help monitor where the students are at and how they're doing, another communication tool. In regards to the summer work and travel program, the regulations as they stand has stated that a designated sponsor can terminate their immigration status if they do not respond to the monthly check-in. Now, I want to be very clear, that is not implemented for the intern and training program, so we do not take those negative consequences with an intern or trainee, but we have implemented this program of checking with our participants that are on the intern trainee program on a monthly basis. But again, the negative ramification of termination will not occur yet because this is not a regulatory responsibility for the intern training program. We're using this as a procedural because we do anticipate that the Department of State is going to make the change to the intern trainee program as well. Last but not least, wanted to talk about a little bit, the participants are issued travel insurance. So I wanted to give you a high-level detail of what that looks like. You can find all participant information right here on this website at Alliance Abroad Group Insurance. And we wanted to let you know, currently we have 2 insurance providers. If you have any students that are in country right now on the program, they will actually have access to United Healthcare. Any new participants that are being placed will have access to Bullstrat insurance carrier. Again, you can find all of these details on this link to the web page. Each healthcare carrier allows the participant to create a personalized account. Both healthcare providers will begin the coverage 24 hours prior to the program start date and will end the coverage 24 hours after the program end date. So just to be very clear, if there's ever an emergency to the international participant, we always ask them to call first their healthcare provider and let them know what's going on if they have the ability to call. We also wanted to talk about, what are their co-payments in case they have to see a doctor. And there's a $100 copay if they see a doctor in network in either of the networks, and if they were to go to the emergency room or hospital under an emergency situation, there's actually a $250 copay. So just want to be very transparent with our participants for them to understand, how much money should they keep aside in case of an emergency. Also, too, filling prescriptions, they're slightly different for each carrier. Under United Healthcare, an international participant will have to pay 100% of the cost associated with their prescription or drugs or medicine, but they would get reimbursed up to 100%. In regards to bull strat insurance, the slight difference here is that they would have to pay 25% up front, but they don't get anything else. They don't get that reimbursed. So just know that there's a slight difference between filling prescriptions on the plans. And again, all the details can be found here at the participant website under insurance. You can see the details on both plans. If an international participant needs to have extra insurance during their travel period, then they're going to need to purchase that. So it's very important. Also, too, we wanted to take a moment to highlight the exclusions, things that the international participant would not be eligible for or what the insurance does not cover. And so some of the things that both insurance exclude are pre-existing conditions. So maybe they have a healthcare concern that they've had since childhood. That would not be covered under either one of these plans. Anything regards to pregnancies or the birth of a child or prenatal care or anything regarding a pregnancy would not be covered by either of the plans. Also, too, any activity that would create injury or harm to themselves while they were drinking or under the influence could be possibly denied. The claim could be denied by both carriers. Also, too, any high-risk activity, maybe it's riding motorboats, or skydiving, any accident surrounding a high-risk activity could also be declined by the travel insurance. So just wanted to make sure that you understand as a business partner some of those exclusions so that you can communicate effectively with our participants. But again, we spend time also directly communicating with our participants what types of coverage the insurance provides them. In regards to culture exchange, some of the things that we're doing for our participants is highlighting, what are the tourist centers, the Chamber of Commerce, encouraging them to make new friends in their work environments or training environments, and also looking at ways for them to get into volunteer opportunities. It's a great way to give back to the community that they're training in is by volunteering, whether that's Habitat for Humanity or maybe work volunteering at the food bank or being part of a unique awareness month. Also, too, we're encouraging the international participants to participate or attend their host company events. So lots of host companies will host maybe something around the holiday period, whether it's a holiday party or Thanksgiving potluck. And so it's really important that the participant is asking for time off to be a part of that or making the time to be a part of that in their schedule. AAG also takes a moment to recommend activities for each participant based on the communities that they're living in. So we have a research team here at AAG on our support team that identifies affordable events, unique events that would be appropriate for that demographic of individual, and then we email that to them prior to the program almost every 3 months, identifying things or recommendations within their own specific community. So great way for them to get involved is, planning short trips with their friends. Again, this is an obligation to the program, so identifying ways for them to share that experiences with Alliance Broad Group, whether that's through a contest or our AAG Facebook page, or they can even share that in their training plans. There's a question that we ask. during monthly check-in. Those are questions that we're asking is what have they had a chance to do or learn about the American culture. So we hope you found today's presentation informative and helpful as you partner with us in facilitating and enrolling the applicants, the future participants. And if there's any questions, please let me know. If not, I want to always encourage you to reach out directly to your account manager because we can also support you that way if you have any specific questions as you facilitate this program, enroll applicants. And in regards to the next steps, we hope that you apply today's tools and understanding of the regulations. And if you have sat through this webinar, we also will need anybody that has participated in today's webinar to sign a training acknowledgement form. And basically, we use this form for compliance purposes with the Department of State to show that we've invested the time to educate our business partners and share with them the expectation and the regulations surrounding this program. So we would ask that everyone would take a moment to sign your training acknowledgement forms so that we can be in compliance and add it to your partner agency file in case we're ever audited or the government ever asks, you know, how has this individual been trained on the regulations. So again, just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the Alliance Abroad Group for participating in today's intern and trainee regulations webinar, and stay tuned. We do have a partner portal webinar as well as a Like Life System webinar and hosting amazing culture exchange events webinar. So again, thank you for your partnership, and we hope you have a great day.